A number of actors have donned the cape and cowl over the years, but who's the greatest Batman of the 21st century? Welcome to WatchMojo, and in this installment of Versus, we'll be going blow for blow with Ben Affleck and Christian Bale to see who comes out on top as the superior Batman.
Think you know the Justice League? Click below to sign in with your Google or Facebook account and take the new trivia quiz on WatchMojo.com. Follow the link in the description.
For this showdown, note that it isn't going to be a cinematic crossover fistfight. Instead, we'll be looking at the various aspects of what makes for a great on-screen Batman to find our victor.
You never give it to an ordinary citizen! Where is it? Where's the trigger?
Round 1. Origins. Bruce Wayne's tragic origin story is well known to not only comic book lovers, but also the general public. And as such, going into Batman Begins, its inclusion felt somewhat unnecessary.
Wallace, Joey, come on, fast.
That's fine. Just take it easy.
Then we saw the film and we changed our tune. Christopher Nolan not only retold the story of the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne in Crime Alley, but also took a deep dive into Bruce Wayne's journey to becoming Batman. It was a real character study, the likes of which had never been attempted before on the big screen, and it gave us a look into the psyche, motivations, and evolution of the character from that formative moment forward.
We will. We can bring Gotham back.
Zack Snyder's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice had a lot to accomplish in one film.
Things fall. Things on Earth. And what falls is fallen.
It had to introduce Wonder Woman, Doomsday, the fallout of Superman's battle in Metropolis, a convoluted plot, and the introduction of a new Batman. Suffice it to say, it had its work cut out for it. Considering, as already discussed, how well-known Batman's origin story is, they really could have skipped it. But instead, Zack Snyder opted to flex his knack for visual flair with a hyper-stylized retelling of the tragedy in Crime Alley during the opening montage. Superfluous though it might have been, for what it was, it worked.
Martha.
Zack Snyder deserves credit for revisiting well-trod territory and making it feel fresh again, but his opening credits origin story cannot compete with the film-length character evolution provided by Nolan. This first round is no contest. As far as origin stories are concerned, Bale's Batman is fully fleshed out. Winner, Bale.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Round 2. The Batsuit. Yes, there are those out there who will never forgive Bale's Batman for the egg-headed cowl he wore.
You wanted me. Here I am.
But let's try to get past that because, really, that was the headgear this version of Batman needed to survive in the grounded and gritty world created by Nolan. And honestly, when you look at the costumes that came before it, Bale's Batsuit was a breath of badass fresh air. A cape with a purpose, combat-worthy gauntlets, appropriate padding. It managed to be realistic and functional while still coming together to make the character look menacing and imposing. Also, the Bat logo was perfect. This was the ideal stealthy armor for a real-world Batman.
Tell me where the trigger is. Then you have my permission to die.
Comic book fans had long been asking to see a live-action take on Batman in his classic gray suit, or at least a modern version of it. And with Batman vs. Superman, Zack Snyder delivered.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
The dark gray material totally works, and felt like it was ripped from the pages of the comics. For anyone who's ever been disappointed by the slim Batman of the big screen, this suit delivered the bulk. Unfortunately, Affleck's Batman, when suited up, sometimes felt bulky to the point of being, well, kinda clunky. And then there's the Bat logo. What were they thinking? This thing is just a few angles and pointy bits away from being a square.
They taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to.
There are those out there who are likely to disagree with this controversial choice, but for us, Bale's Batsuit comes out on top. Affleck's suit photographed well and felt very comic accurate, but that Bat logo was a serious letdown. And on screen, the bulkiness of the suit sometimes distracted in ways that Bale's never did. Winner, Bale.
Yeah. Oh, something is definitely bleeding.
Round 3. Detective skills. If Bale's Batman fell short of his comic book counterpart in any one area, it was in his detective skills. Bale's Batman was not the world's greatest detective.
Do I look like a cop?
In fact, he didn't feel like much of a detective, period. The Caped Crusader's greatest power is his uncanny knack for deductive reasoning. And while Bale's Batman was capable of putting together an impressive plan of attack when the time came, he was also caught off guard far too often.
You're not Ra's al Ghul. I watched him die.
But is Ra's al Ghul immortal? Are his methods supernatural?
Batman's supposed to be one step ahead, but in the Nolan-verse, he was always walking into danger and having to punch his way out, rarely connecting the dots until too late. Failing to see Talia for who she really was, that's not Batman.
But he's not the child of Ra's al Ghul. I am.
Ben Affleck's Dark Knight similarly fell short of his comic book inspiration, but he undeniably came closer to the level of detective skills we were looking for. Like Bale, this version of Batman had a bad habit of being a little quick to throw punches when he should have been using his head and thinking things through. While his mission to preemptively bring the fight to Superman, rather than just make a contingency plan, felt both short-sighted and out of character, the way he went about it was exactly the sort of careful and methodical approach we like to see. This Batman knew the value of going undercover, and had the deductive logic to connect the dots.
Do you think Lex Luthor is the white Portuguese? I can't see that he needs the income from imported arms.
Regardless, I'll need to put a leash in his house, and I'm gonna need the suit.
Honestly, we're still waiting to see Batman hit the big screen in a story that allows him to live up to his reputation as the world's greatest detective. But as far as Bale and Affleck are concerned, the latter came closest. Ben Affleck's Batman takes his first point. Winner, Affleck.
You were never a god. You were never even a man.
Round 4. Portrayal of Bruce Wayne. Christian Bale did a really great job portraying a frustrated young Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins.
That's your nocturnal.
Bats may be, but even for billionaire playboys, 3 o'clock is pushing it.
As the trilogy progressed, we watched him grow into the classic public Bruce Wayne persona, a playboy and socialite. But while he went through the motions of being Bruce Wayne as the world knew him, there was one big way in which he missed the mark. At least in more recent comics, Bruce Wayne is a likable public figure, charming and charismatic.
You know, when Rachel first told me that she was dating Harvey Dent, I had one thing to say. The guy from those god-awful campaign commercials, I believe in Harvey Dent. Yeah, nice slogan, Harvey.
He's a bit cheeky, but also a pillar of the community. Bale, as Bruce Wayne, was often dislikable in public, failing to strike that careful balance.
We may not know you well enough to understand when you're making fun of him, but I do.
No, I meant every word.
Some fans might have been disappointed to see an older and world-weary Bruce Wayne in Batman vs. Superman, but once you got past that, it was really a treat to see such a comic-accurate take on the character.
Who's that? You must be new to the Let Them Eat Cake beat. That is Bruce Wayne.
From Bruce's commitment to the people who work for his company and the community, to the contrast between his brooding cave demeanor and his public persona, Affleck felt like comic book Bruce Wayne brought to life.
Pretty girl, bad habit. Don't quote me, all right?
Despite not having the best dialogue to work with, Affleck made us believe he was Bruce Wayne. And in Justice League, he really became Bruce Wayne the leader. Of course, his physique and looks certainly didn't hurt either.
Failed him. Life. I won't fail him in death.
Sorry, Bale, but it's back-to-back points for Batfleck. We're heading into round 5 with a tie. Winner, Affleck.
Oh, awesome. As a bat signal, that's your... Oh, sorry. That's your signal. That means we have to go now.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Round 5, Portrayal of Batman. Yes, Bale's growling, gruff Batman voice inspired parodies and a certain amount of mockery, but he also embodied the values, shortcomings, and virtues of Batman.
You're either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Perhaps most importantly, he was fallible and very much human, which is really at the crux of what makes Batman such a special superhero.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded.
It's hard to put succinctly into words, but when Bale's Batman was on screen, it really felt like the Batman you grew up reading in your comics. He took hits and felt them. He used his tools and quick wits to best his opponents, and he was willing to give every ounce of himself to the mission. Ben Affleck did a great job bringing Batman to life. His version of the character was grim, brooding, menacing, and downright terrifying when he needed to be.
Why did you say that name? Martha, why did you say that name?
Stop! Please, stop!
Why did you say that name?
When it came to fighting, he brought a physicality and a technicality to Batman's combat style hereto only seen in video games and animated films. But as great as Ben Affleck's Batman was in individual moments, he suffered from some truly weak writing and character development.
Well, here I am.
Ben Affleck's Batman behaved like an Elseworlds Batman from another reality who made rash decisions and was far too cruel and brutal. Ben Affleck made for a great Batman, but he wasn't our Batman. Superficial differences and a silly voice aside, Christian Bale's Batman embodied the spirit of the Caped Crusader, and for that reason, he gets our vote. Winner, Bale.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
It would seem that Bale's grounded and thoroughly human Batman comes out on top. Did we pick the right Batman? Be sure to debate it in the comments, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to WatchMojo for more entertaining versus battles.